Today's story is called Hammer Story. It's a story about forgiveness and the bonds that father and son share. Let's begin. Hammer Story, copy pasta. I remember I was hammering on the fence in the backyard when my daddy approached me. He was carrying a letter or something in his hand, and he looked kind of worried. I continued to hammer as he came towards me. "Son," he said, "why you hammering on that fence? It already has plenty of nails on it." "Oh, I'm not using nails," I replied. "I'm just hammering." With that, I returned to my hammering. "Stop hammering," my dad asked me as he had some news. I did stop hammering, but first I got a couple more hammers in, and this seemed to make my daddy mad. "I said stop hammering," he yelled. I think he felt bad for yelling at me, especially since it looked like he had some bad news. "Look," he said, "you can hammer later, but first..." Well, I didn't even want to wait to hear the rest. As soon as I heard, "you can hammer later," that's what I started doing, hammering away happy as an old hammer hog. Dad tried to physically stop me from hammering by inserting a small log of some sort between my hammer and the fence. But I just kept on hammering, 'cause that's the way I get when I get the hammer going. Then he just grabbed my arm and he made me stop. "I'm afraid I got some news for you," he said. I swear what I did next was not hammering. I was just letting the hammer swing lazily at arm's length. And maybe it tapped the fence once or twice, but that's all. That apparently didn't make any difference whatsoever to my daddy, because he just grabbed my hammer out of my hand and he flung it across the field. And when I saw my hammer flying helplessly through the air like that, I just couldn't take it. I ran into the house and flung myself onto my bed, pounding the bed with my fists. I pounded and I pounded until finally behind me, I heard a voice. "As long as you're pounding, why not use this?" I turned around and it was my daddy. He's holding a brand new solid golden hammer. I quickly wiped the tears from my eyes and ran into my daddy's outstretched arms. But suddenly, he jumped out of the way and I went sailing through the second-story window behind him. So, whenever I hear about a kid getting in trouble with the drugs, I like to tell him this story. The end. And that was Hammer Story, brought to you by the power of the internet. Well, that's all the time we have this week. Join us for the next episode of Tales from the Internet.
Picnic dinner all over the ground. Skipper's and the meat was 9 foot deep and a green fly walking all around. The biscuit in the oven was a bacon, was a beefsteak frying in a pan. Pretty gal sitting in a parlor, Lord God Almighty, what a hand I stand. Oh, damn mule, I tell you, Miss Liza, you keep cool. I ain't got